Hello, Serena. Do you hear me? Hello. Hello.
Hi, how are you, Anna?
Oh, very good. It's so good to see you here. Not expecting that because, yeah, I think that, yeah, it's a little mess with time, but yeah, we are here together here.
Well,
And
I'm glad we can do it now because I am supposed to work today. So yeah, this is perfect.
yeah, I need to say that it's a big honor for me to have you here and talk about your book, because it's a so amazing book in Polish. I have here it.
I
And
hope that it's translated closely to how the English book was. Have you read both?
yes, yes. No, both, no, only Polish, you know.
Polish. Okay, all right.
But I can say that Polish book is really amazing and beautiful. And when I end, this book, I want to read more and more. So for sure, this is the Polish book for everybody who with us right now. Ja jestem Serena. Yeah, it's like that.
Say that again. How does it sound?
Ja jestem. It's I am. Ja jestem Serena.
Oh, that's beautiful.
Yeah, it is so much. So this is Polish book. And yeah, I reading your book and I think this is amazing book. It surprised me so much. Surprised me so much. I feel this book, there is so much energy of integration, so much beauty in this book. But for people who don't read this book yet, please tell us, who is Serena and what is her story?
Well, who is Serena? I am, which is the I am of higher consciousness of our soul. And the Serena part is this blessed human that I am. I am this combination of the two. And I am a woman who has journeyed through the bowels of hell and has come out the other side and knows the truth like a lot of people can't even grasp. When people talk about, oh, well, I'm going to go to hell, I'm going to go to heaven, or I have to get saved because I got to get good. And I have experienced firsthand that those things, those beliefs are not true. What is true is this blessed energy that we all are. We all are this I am of soul consciousness, higher consciousness. But because we're human and we come through this veil of forgetfulness, we believe that we're this small human and we believe the mind stories as a part of who we are. But if we can step out of that and begin to experience another reality, and that's how you do it through the breath, this remarkable, remarkable breath that says, soul, would you start to come into my life? Will you start to participate with me in my life? I want something more. Something is lacking in my life. Open me to that. And so because I've experienced the darkest dark on this planet, I was born into a satanic cult. And then I was contracted to a mind control program that was established through our government here in the United States. And I witnessed human sacrifice. I witnessed men killing human beings for their own gain. I witnessed and experienced every single kind of darkness you can on this planet in this lifetime. And you see, if my soul judged that as bad and that I was going to go to hell, she never, ever would have wrapped her arms around me and held me so compassionately and said, I'm right here. I love you. You are brilliant. You are wonderful. I want to love you and become a part of you more and more and more. And so who I am, I'm just this real live human being who, you know, sometimes gets upset, sometimes is very tired, sometimes is filled with joy and balance and peace. But I'm just very real. You know, people read my story and they sort of forget that because they, you know, they read all the hysteria that I'm in and all the fear I'm in, but toward the end they get, wow, she's really had a transformation. Yes, but I'm very human and I'm very much soul. I am this mixture. Like when you pour cream into coffee, you can't pull the cream back out, can you? No, I'm this sweet mixture of human and soul.
Wow. Wow, it's a beautiful answer, really. Uh, okay. I want to ask you also about Norma. Uh,
Oh, yes, I love talking about.
yeah,
And if I call her mom, I'm sorry, but she is my mother still. And I love her very much.
yes, super. Norma was the person who came into your life to help you integrate. And could you tell us some more about her, about Norma Delay? Who is she?
Oh, Norma Delaney was a woman who was always very connected to her spirit self, her consciousness, but she didn't know that she was. You know, she had these very synchronistic experiences in her life throughout her life. But in 1992, she was living on the island of Kauai after losing her husband and her home and everything that she had held dear to her. And she was house sitting, and Kuan Yin came to her and told her that she wanted to teach Norma how to breathe. And Norma looked at Kuan Yin because Norma could see Kuan Yin as you and I can see each other. And she said, but I know how to breathe, Kuan Yin. And Kuan Yin smiled and she said, not this breath that I will teach you. This is the breath of compassion. It is the invitation to your soul that I'm teaching you. And so Kuan Yin and Norma in 1992 started this journey that was so exquisite. You see, Norma had contracted to me before our births. She was born in 1936 and I was born in 1955. And she had contracted to help me come out of hell so that I could find out who I really was. And so she started this journey with Kuan Yin, and she started to work with people and share breath with them and invite them to discover this more that they were. And she was a very compassionate, enthusiastic human being for life, for others. She loved people. Her love for me, her authenticity. You know, the very first time I met her, I could feel, actually tangibly feel there was something different about her. And she radiated this essence of, come hither, come close, I'm safe.
Mm-hmm.
And if you've seen videos of her, because all you have to do is go in and type her name and she'll see videos of her on YouTube, that's the kind of person she was. You know, and I was skeptical because I had never had that kind of a human being in my life before. And so I always watched her, especially those 10 years. Is she real? Can she really be this way? And when I would live with her in Garrett and I would watch, she was always this way, always still, always deep in her core, compassionate, loving, willing to be honest with me, no matter how difficult it was for her. And there were many times it was very hard for her to speak the truth to me. She loved flowers. She loved touching people, teaching them how to breathe. You know, she loved Garrett and the puppies so much. She was an amazing woman. You know that she passed, right?
Yes, I know. And how are you feel about that she passed away?
You know, so grateful for her willingness to do that for me. You see, I discovered that she even invited death into her body, cancer into her body, so that she could manifest what it looked like to die for me, so that I could heal that, because I had experienced death so horrifically from the time I was maybe a year and a half old. And so she showed me that even if the body withered, she was still there. Her eyes still sparkled, and she could still come to me from the other side and put her arms around me, and I could feel her. And so I learned firsthand, not just words of, oh, see how the soul leaves the body, when I would be doing a memory with her around someone that I had known in the cult that had been killed. And I would watch their soul leave. And yes, it was words, oh no, they're still alive, but their body's dead. But I didn't get it. But when I witnessed it and experienced it with her, I knew it. So yes, it was very hard, but the gifts that I've had to come and stand on my own 2 feet and experience, who am I, you know, without her. And thank God I didn't know what it was going to be like to do it. But looking at it retrospectively, it is such a gift, because now I am more my own person than ever before. And before, I was always clutching on her hand and going, mommy, mommy, you know, in a way, you know, is this okay? What do you think about this? And now I sit very still with me. You know, I've been asked, for example, I've been asked to do some public speaking, but it's to corporations and things. And so they're asking me, could you speak without bringing in spirit and soul? And so I'm sitting with that, and I'm getting some clarity as to, could I speak to them about the fact that everyone has trauma, heartache, disappointment in their lives. Do they feel flat? Do they feel disconnected? Is something missing? If you would like to practice this breath that I do, you could find that more within you. So, you know, I haven't made a clear decision yet as to what I'm going to do, but I know I'll have the answer, you see. And so Norma's unending compassion, her gift of love for me, was beyond anything that I knew when she was alive. But now I know it was endless, limitless for me. It was so big.
Yes. Thank you. Ooh. Okay. You know, in your book, you tell us about many years of human integration with your darkness, of course,
Yeah.
but also with your divinity. It is. And can you tell us what your life was like before meeting Norma? How you deal with reality as like a teenager, and when you have new role like a mom?
Oh, wow. These are great questions, Anna. I haven't been asked these questions before. So, as a young person, a teenager growing up, to the outside world, people knew something wasn't quite right with me. You know, I didn't know that for the longest time. Norma said, oh, people knew something was wrong. And I go, oh, no, they didn't, you know. But I was always at a high pitched level of fear, whether it was hysteria, whether it was depression, because even depression is a high pitched energy of fear. It's just in the opposite direction of shutdown. I was constantly switching. So I had parts come in to do a job. There were multiple parts that went to school. There were parts that interacted with my birth mother. There were parts that went to the cult. There were parts that went to the government. and experienced that. So there was never any continuity, like you remember your childhood. Even if you had a lot of trauma in your childhood, it wasn't like mine. Mine was pieces. And all those pieces fit together to keep the body moving forward and looking as normal as possible and keep the mind sane. So I went to one prom, and that part went to the prom. She did her job. She had no joy with that. She got dressed up, she went with the boy, but there was no connection of joy or fun with dancing. It was something to do. It was a job. My life was a series of jobs to keep me living, period. People cannot grasp the level of trauma that I lived in constantly. The first 5 years of my life, I was starved, I was neglected, I was not touched. I was so abused 24/7. There was nothing that was left undone. Whether I was going to the bathroom, whether I was in bed asleep, I would be startled awake. They would traumatize me on the toilet. So it's incomprehensible for people to grasp the level of what I went through. So there wasn't any presence to have a life. So when I had my children, and those parts of me that said, I'm going to have a baby, it's going to make me feel good, I'm going to feel like I'm a mother. And so that child, who was maybe 3 years old, emotionally and mentally, had this plan, as she had watched television shows on TV that said, oh, being a mom is so good. And you wear an apron and you're happy and you wear pearls around your neck. And that child part of me believed that. And so when I had these two babies right off the bat, and they didn't fit my script, those mothers were overwhelmed. So I continued to show up. Those mothers showed up. We fed them. We kept them alive, which was a really big deal. We kept them alive. We kept a roof over their heads. We loved them so much, but our love was created from fear. It wasn't authentic love from higher consciousness. And so it was a desperation of, I've got to keep them alive, and I've got to make it okay for them, and they've got to, I don't want to wound them, and I don't want to make them feel guilty. And so they grew up in a house of trauma and chaos. So that person, that body that went through life from school age to teenage years to having been married to a husband that was cruel, emotionally not available, and to my children and raising them by myself, my life was a nightmare.
I see. Okay. Yeah, but you are here. Yes.
And I'm very close to two of my three sons. Yes. Yes.
Yes, I want to ask you about that. Where they read your book, what is their reaction?
My one son, Stephen, he helped me edit my book. I X'd out the memories so he would not read the memories. And so he helped me because I had a professional editor. And she said, I need to teach your son how to work with a computer with all these different things that you need to do. And so he read my book minus the memories. My eldest son hasn't read it at all. And my youngest son, he's too afraid to read it. He says, maybe when I'm in my 90s, will that be okay, Mom? And I said, I don't need you to read my book, sweetie. It's okay. You know me firsthand. Oh, okay. They're not reading. I've noticed that when people know me, they have a harder time reading my book because they know me, and they've told me they've just sat and cried because they're not removed from it, that somebody that is a stranger to me and has no connection to me. So I don't need my sons to read it.
Yes, I understand that. I think many people, you know, afraid of reading your book because there's a lot of
Satanic cult memories in my book. There's enough memory to lend credibility to why I am the way I am. But you know, it's more about the transformation I went through. Wouldn't you agree, Anna?
Of course, of course. I yes, it's. I feel, you know, life energy in your book, and this is like a poof, like a storm, you know, but very release storm that you can
Yes.
receive. Really
I
beautiful.
mean, you can feel the compassion in the pages. You can
Yes,
feel the love, the wisdom, the brilliance. And you know, when Norma sat across from me on that first or second meeting and she said, I do not see you as broken. I see you as brilliant.
yeah.
Wow. Okay. I'd never been told that. And I'd been working with therapists and psychiatrists and psychologists for years. And they all saw me as broken, but she didn't.
Wow. Yes. So how did it take you to describe your whole life in this book? Uh,
How long did it take for me to write it?
yes, yes. And how does this change something in your life to publish this book?
Oh, it took me 13 years to write it, another 2 years to get it published. I had this idea that I was going to go to a major publishing house and get it printed and published and marketed. But the publishing industry has changed a lot in the last 15 years. And I started to get this nudge from within me that said, you need to get it published. Now, of course, I didn't know that Norma was dying. And so I said, yes, but, and I got this very clear, no, you must get it published now. Well, I didn't know the ramifications of what that really meant for me. It was so freeing. You know how people that are gay, they say, well, I came out of the closet. Well, when my book came out and people that I had been working in the bank for 14 years read my book, they were like, I didn't know, Serena. I had this one woman that had known me for years put her arms around me and sob and say, oh my God, this book touched me so deeply. But I didn't have to pretend anymore. Before my book came out, I was pretending that I was like everybody else, that, oh yes, I was a single parent and I raised my 3 boys. And oh, I didn't work for a while. I was taking off time and I wouldn't go into it. But when my book came out, I could be transparent. And it's been so freeing, and I always look to be transparent. I know at the end of my book, it sounds like I never go into fear. Well, that's not true. I'm very human. I still have fear experiences. Are they as big as before? No. Oh gosh, no. And when I get afraid, I take a breath and I surrender into that pool of compassion. you know, but having my book come out, like literally 3 months before Norma passed, and have people all over the world tell me their reactions, their experiences with my book, has been profound. To have it translated into 3 other languages, and then it's also being translated into Italian and German, it's like, it's an honor, I've just been this human being that's fallen down a million times and gotten up 1,000,001 times,
Yeah. Yeah, Polish audience is also, start to read your story, and I see many, many stories about this book in their life, because they just put their consciousness and open up and open up and open up, and it's changed so much there and me also. So yeah, it's amazing book, really amazing.
It's really, it's a connecting piece for each person, because the breath part is the key. It's the magical key that unlocks the whole thing. Norma would say, oh, I put on Kuan Yin's glasses and I would look through her eyes and I would see you, Serena, as this profound being who had survived, not only survived, but stayed sane. Do you know that my body died 6 times by the time I was 5 years old? Literally, my heart stopped because of being electrocuted, drowned, whatever. And my soul would come back into my body and say, no, we're going to stay alive. And this breath, my soul breathed the body back then, and then I learned the breath. And it was my choice to say, I choose this breath over fear. I choose to breathe and feel my body. Feel this stillness, even though the fear is screaming. And for me, there were so many times I'd be sitting here breathing and I could hear screams inside of me. Or I hate you, or whatever. Because I had all these personalities. And Norma would say, sit still, Serena. Let them know that you're for real, that you love them compassionately. You know, when I would want to integrate them, to get rid of them, I wouldn't get anywhere. But when I would stop fighting and I would let me feel their pain, feel their rage, and you know, I used to believe I would explode with the rage. And Norma would say, you won't. Keep breathing, I promise. Dive into the emotions, dive into the energy, dive into it through your breath. Don't run, sit still. Allow it to be so loud that you are bigger. And she would say that to me over and over again. Do you think that this is bigger than you and your soul? Yes. And she'd go, no, not. She'd go, it's not. And you see, I had her for as long as I needed her, because for the longest time I did believe that fear, that rage, whatever, was bigger than my soul and me. But by the time she made her exit and let her body go, I knew so completely that no matter what came up to show its face to me, this breath and the stillness was bigger than that. And so that's what people get to discover for themselves, you know, because we as humans think if we run from it, we'll survive. But who wants to keep surviving? It's not fun when you live and survive.
Yes, yes. And for these people who thinking about that, do you have any universal advice for people who are going through their hard times in life right now? From your perspective, what is most important to returning to yourself, returning to your natural joy?
Do not get discouraged. Even if you feel discouraged, it's okay. It's an aspect of discouragement. It's not your soul. Your soul does not get discouraged. Your soul does not get angry. Your soul does not get depressed. Your soul is this energy, this pool of compassion. And even when you cannot feel your soul, sit still, keep breathing. I promise that the crap will pass. The pain will pass. The chaos will pass. You see, I was taught to fight, to be a closed fist of energy, shut down, pull in, survive. But in order to open to our souls, it means we need to let go, surrender, and open, which when you're hurting seems very backwards, doesn't it? When you're in depression, all you want to do is curl up. When you are terrified, all you want to do is go like this. This is the mind. This is what all of us as mass conscious human beings have.
Yes.
But if you can put one foot in front of the other, and if you can tell your soul, it would be so nice if there's another person in my life who is on the same journey, who is ahead of me that I could talk to, because it is nice to have a companion who is walking the road with you, who is in physical form. You see, your soul wants the very best for you. Your soul wants to shower you with flowers and joy and love and abundance. But we as humans, we get so afraid that we close off. And it's done so gradually, it's done so compassionately. Your soul's not going to rip the covers off and say, here's the whole bucket full of crap that you have to deal with. She'll say, here's a morsel. Now that morsel might seem very big. It might seem almost too much for you to handle. But with your breath, your choice, it's not. All those years before I even met Norma, I was being led. I have a vivid memory of me sitting on my bed, and my boys, they must have been probably 11 and 10 years old. So my twins were 11 and my youngest was 10 or 9. And I was ripping up pieces of paper and writing down all the different things that I didn't know what to do about. Money, my bills. I was so afraid. How was I going to clothe my boys? Whatever. And I was putting it into an envelope, and on the outside I was writing God envelope in my attempt to give it to God. Even then I was being guided and led, even in the midst of my fear and my nightmare. People are not alone. They just believe they're alone. That's part of this journey of becoming a sovereign being. That we on this planet of Earth, we've chosen to come in so that we as individual beings get to discover, I am God in physical form. Wow, that's a big statement. That's why people feel so alone, because that's part of our journey. That's part of our contract as being human beings. But in truth, we're not.
Yes. Yes, yes. Whew. Okay, I have a few more questions. Wow. From Paul.
Breath,
From
Anna, take a breath. Just take a breath with me.
This question, yes, is about breath. Can you describe a breathing technique that we could use in our own integration process?
Yes, first of all, you can go to my website, and I've added 2 breathing sessions. They're free, and I'm going to add more this weekend. You can practice this breath. You want to be comfortable, but you can practice it anywhere. You can sit at a red light and breathe. You can, you start to get upset, you get anxious, take a breath. And what I do is I put my hand on my belly below my belly button so that I can feel my stomach rise and fall with my breath. And I breathe through my nose. And I exhale through my nose. And I lay down in the morning, every morning, so that my neck and my shoulders are relaxed, so that there's not one muscle in my body that's tight, holding my body up, so that I can fall against the cushions and just feel the sweetness. And I stay with my breath and how it feels in my body. And in the beginning, when I was traumatized, my mind would race and race and race, and I'd have multiple layered thoughts going on, and my legs would itch, and I'd get distracted, or I'd fall asleep, many different things. Don't fight any of the reactions to the breath that a person may have. It's okay. If you show up and you keep choosing to do this breath, this blessed breath, and if you're in anxiety and you actually watch your belly rise and fall with your breath, because you don't want your breath to stay up here in your chest, you want it to come all the way down into your belly. For this in your belly is where their stillness lives within your body. And so many of us don't know that we have stillness within our physical body, but we do. It's where the lake of compassion lives. And yesterday was a challenging day for me, the whole day. And I kept breathing and I kept loving me and showing up. I was so tired yesterday. And I didn't try to figure out why I was tired. I have a lot on my plate right now. I just kept loving me. I didn't get mad at me. I didn't judge me. But that's after years of this practice. If you can catch yourself, bring yourself back to the breath. This sweet, sweet breath. It's like eating a sweet cookie of your soul. For she breathes her breath, he breathes his breath into you. For it's your invitation to say, come closer, soul. Come closer so that I know that you and I are one. That I can come from a place of stillness and not reaction. So that I can love me authenticity. Authentic. I can't even remember the word at the moment. But genuinely love me. You know, when people say, oh, I'm going to practice these mind things of I'm good, I'm lovable, blah, blah, blah. It stays in the mind. It's not authentic. But you can go to my website and they're for free and you can practice the breath.
Yeah, I am sure that I add, you know, under this interview, this website, of course, and everybody can.
Serena.net, yes.
Okay, for sure, I do that. Okay, next question from audience. As the book shows, you were able to communicate very easily and get answers from your soul. You had this skill before, or if appeared while working with Norma. Can each of us talk to the soul in the same direct way? This is the question.
Oh, what a wonderful question. Yes and no, yes and yes. So in the beginning, I was always very intuitive. So I had these nudges, these awarenesses. Like in my book, I said that I, was meditating one day and saw this hand say, don't keep your light under a bushel basket. So I always had this connection to something other than me. But Norma began to introduce me to my soul through the fairy godmother and then through my heart. And she would say to me, you can talk to your soul. And so I would journal and I would write my feelings. Oh my God, it's so hard, this memory, blah, 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 whatever, all the fear. And then I would let me write what my soul was telling me. And it was a beginning where I could feel the energy, the difference between my mind fear and my soul compassion. And it was so different. And then at some point, years down the road, I was asked, will you stop writing? Will you begin to feel and hear? And so I started to do that. And so I could hear my soul. And it was a different experience. It was like, graduating into the next class. And then I was asked, would you stop going to your soul for an answer? Would you feel and sense? And see, that was the invitation for me to become my soul, not go to my soul out there, but be my soul. And so that's where I'm at still. I'm still in this process of the discovery of who I really am, you know, in every moment. Have no plan, show up, trust this, that I am becoming, which is more than anything I could have ever dreamed of. But it's real and it's authentic. It's not a plan from my mind. For a long time, I tried to act as I thought my soul would be. But see, that's like trying to figure out how to be. Instead, now I am. Like I couldn't say that word a few minutes ago, okay, it's okay.
Great.
We are these beautiful human beings and it's a journey, but I really strongly suggest if you write down your fear thoughts, your questions, and then you let yourself hear or feel. You can even take the pen in the hand that's not your dominant hand and see if you can write an answer, because that disconnects you from your mind, which is really powerful. But everyone can hear their souls. And you can ask yourself, why am I blocking? Many times Norma would say, go around the wall, the no, and sense. And every time I did, I would get an answer.
Yeah. And you are here and tell everybody that this is possible, it's so beautiful that you are here,
Yes. For everyone.
For everyone, yes, for everyone. And so the last question I have, are you thinking about the next book? Will there be any continuation of your story? Or maybe something has already been created?
Oh, I have been asked that question before. And, I have said, if I'm to write another book, I will be led. I don't know. It's a big endeavor and it really costs a lot of money to write a book. We're talking thousands and thousands of dollars. People think, oh, I make money. I make a small fraction compared to what it costs to get a book out there, the time, the effort, and the money. I didn't write the book for money. I wrote it because there was, first of all, because the wisdom of my soul knew I needed to connect more to my experience, my story. That was the first step. And then to share this message that with spirit, anything is possible. If the human says yes to their soul, anything is possible. So I don't know if I'm going to write another book. It's a lot of work. We'll see. And I need to let that idea go that it's a lot of work, even, So there's always the possibility.
Cool. Cool, because what I say, I end the story and I want to, more and more, because you have so beautiful, words, and you put this every of you're sharing. It's really amazing and beautifully reading.
When I first started to write my book, I would sit down at the computer, and this was in the end of 2007, and I'd close my eyes and I put my fingers on the keyboard and I'd start typing, and I had no idea what I was writing because I was so disconnected from my story. But I look at this book and I marvel at the beauty of it. It is such a beautiful creation. And I had written a chapter about an experience in the cult. It was a very, very horrific experience for me. And my soul said, no, Serena, that one can't go in the book. And I was like, oh, okay. You see, I had no plan. I had no outline of my book. I just sat down and would write. So it is a beautiful book and I'm proud of it. And I'm so grateful. I'm so grateful that people are getting such guidance from it, such a sense of it's possible for me too. It's so wonderful to live in this world and you don't have to pretend you're something you're not. It's so wonderful to know that you're not alone, that you are loved, I mean, our souls love us so much, we can't even conceptualize it. So, you know, there is possibility. There's a program where you can actually speak and it will actually translate into a book. So, and I just signed up for that app. So we'll see.
Okay. Yes, for now, for everybody who listening this is the book, Polish one, Polish translation, really treasure for the world, I think. And you can have it in the website białywiatr.com for every who is Polish, of course. Yeah, so great. Thank you so much for this.
Bless you, Anna. Thank you. This was wonderful. I loved the questions you asked me. They were very unique.
Thank you. Thank you so much. And thank you that you do what you do, you know, because it's a big treasure and really, yeah, it's something.
People can put their arms around themselves and just sit still with themselves. It's such an intent. It says, yes, I am of value. I love me. I matter. And you see, you don't have to tell that to anybody else out there. You have to tell it to you, to all those wounded aspects that don't know and trust you yet. Can they come home? Can they come home to you so they no longer have to stay out in the cold?
And yeah, with that, thank you so much. Oh, and bless you too, of course. Thank you. It was a honor, big honor for me, really.
Well, for me too. Always. Thank you so much, Anna.
Thank you. Have a good day, because you have a day right now, yes?
Yes, I will go to work now. All right.
Okay, bye-bye. Thank you, thank you, thank you.